Hello, everyone. Glad to see all of you joining. We're just going to jump right into it. We are at 2:02, so we will get started right now. So welcome everyone to day 2 of the Board of Directors Workshops, Community Leadership Tactics and Conscious Cultural Tools. My name is Divya Nanduri, and I'm a Public Health Associate with the Technical Assistance and Research Center at NCUI. And joining me from the NCUI team are Dr. Mark Clark, Technical Assistance Manager, and Justine Vanderveen from the Communications team. We are definitely honored to have you all here today. As a reminder, this interactive 6-session series aims to provide UIO leaders and board members with a guiding focus, having a special concentration on governance and on culture, operation, renewal, and nourishment, or CORN. Healthy soil, like a healthy board, supports strong roots and growth. Today's subject matter experts will share effective strategies on board retreats and board assessments. And in today's CORN Labs, participants will explore their executive journey as they navigate the complex considerations in leading UIOs. We kindly ask that you place your name, organization, tribal affiliation, and title into the chat box. In addition, we welcome any feedback you would like to provide about your session experience in our survey, which is also going to be posted in our chat box. But we kindly ask that you refrain from completing the evaluation until the end of today's session. We will begin our second day of the board workshops with our 4th session, Nourishment, Retreat is Ceremony. But before we jump into it, let us go over a little bit about NCUI. The National Council of Urban Indian Health, also known as NCUI, is the national nonprofit organization developed to the support and development of quality, accessible, and culturally competent health and public health services for American Indians and Alaska Natives living in urban areas. NCUI is the only national representative of the 41 Title V Urban Indian Organizations, or UIOs, under the Indian Health Service in the Indian Healthcare Improvement Act. NCUI strives to improve the health of over 70% of the AIAN population that lives in urban areas, supported by quality, accessible healthcare services. So here's a look at today's first session. We will end promptly at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and move into a 10-minute break. There'll be a presentation and a guided meditation well by our presenter, Dr. Bonnie Duran, and is followed by a Q&A session. So before we dive into our session, here are a few things to keep in mind. The session is being recorded. Your mics are muted, but feel free to unmute if you would like to share anything. And you can also type your questions or comments into the chat box. We also ask that you turn on your cameras to allow for optimal interaction. This will be a 60-minute session with a Q&A session at the end, followed by a 10-minute break. And the slides and recording will be available at the end on our website. So how to ask a question. To ask a question, first select chat at the bottom of your Zoom screen, then type your question or comment into the chat box that will appear on the right side of your screen. To react to this session, click reactions and then choose the heart emoji or any emoji of your choosing. Now let us welcome our first presenter, Dr. Bonnie Duran. Please welcome Bonnie with your heart reactions, or you can place heart emojis, heart emojis in the chat box. Hearts around. Welcome, Bonnie. So Dr. Duran is... Oh, go ahead. Sorry. I didn't see you there. Hello. Please welcome Bonnie.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Hello. I will introduce myself. I'm a mixed race Native person. Both of my parents are from Louisiana. My father is Opelousas, my mother Quixota. I'm actually enrolled in the Atacapa tribe, which is a confederacy from Louisiana. I'm a first-gen college student, like probably many of us. I am a product of the civil rights and American Indian and the women's movement for sure. And I got introduced to meditation when I was pretty young, actually. I found myself in Europe and then in Nepal and India and learned how to do mindfulness meditation. Actually, it was in 1981, so I've been doing it a long time, and it's been incredibly useful to me. So I thought I would share that with you, okay? Is there any way for me to advance? And maybe not, huh? No? Okay, so today I want to talk about our 3 fundamental needs as human beings. That is safety, satisfaction, and connection. These are our 3 fundamental needs as people, okay? So looking at safety is produced in us by us being ethical. And the more ethical we are, the more we want to hang around with other ethical people. You know, that's a really huge part of it, is to making sure that the communities that we are associating with or spending a lot of our time with are ethical. And we know as a board member, you know, you're actually giving community service right now. And that's a huge ethical responsibility and a huge offering to the community, because many of us do things like this without any considerable payment. You know, it really is an offering. And it's a way for us to build up our strong positive mental qualities like generosity and ethics and safety and things like that. And reflective practice as board members, you know, I think that's probably what boards do, is they do reflection about how they're offering service to the community, and the organizations that they're sitting on the boards for, how those organizations are offering services to the community. So that's a really beautiful, reflective, ethical practice. And I wanted to point out for all of you who are single, ethics and safety and is a very sexy thing. So if you're single out there and you want to start meeting up with people, it's always wonderful to check in to see just how ethical they are. I mean, that's what happened with my partner. He was a heritage Buddhist Japanese American, and he worked for a tribe. He worked for the Muckleshoot tribe for like 20 years. But when I got to know him, he was incredibly ethical, and that's, you know, what I found so attractive. So we can do that. Okay, next. So in our ethics, or in our safety, one way for us to also be safe is to have compassion for ourselves, to make sure that we are not getting involved in situations that are beyond our ability to respond or that aren't ethical for us. So what we can do is think about all of the people that we love and that we have compassion for. Maybe it's people in the organizations that you work for. Maybe you're seeing clients or patients or a community group. So what we can do is get a sense of caring for people, you know, who we care about, and then turn that self-compassion onto ourselves. Okay, next one. So this is a really important new advice from Buddhist psychology. You know, Buddhism is mainly a psychology. There's no higher power or God in Buddhism. It really is about how best to maximize our well-being. And this is an excellent one. When you are with people who are suffering, you know, if you wanted to know more about suffering, you should concentrate on why, you know, what their elements of their suffering are, you know, what happened to them, how they're being impacted. But if you want to be able to create more positive, energetic fields, and if you want to be able to reduce a negative impact on you, what you can do, rather than focus on why they're suffering, focus on your desire for them to be happy. So just sitting with them with the thought, you know, coming from your heart, pervading your heart, I care deeply for your suffering. May you be free from pain and suffering. May you be happy. May you make wise decisions. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. And just to concentrate on that, compassion actually feels good in the heart. So it allows us to stay with people longer and to have it not impact us and burn us out. Okay, next. And then, so that's resources for safety. This is the second human need, the resources for satisfaction. How can we get satisfaction in our lives? What we can do is to pay a little bit more attention to what we can be grateful for. I'll talk in a minute about the negativity bias. You know, evolutionary psychology says that we're looking at the negative things in order to stay safe, but there's so many things in our lives that we can reflect on and be grateful for. And then also, I mean, all of you who are, you know, working at NCUI and also doing board service, you have a lot of things to supplement or to add to your feelings of being of worth, of being worthy, because you're doing a lot of excellent resources for underserved communities. Okay, next. So resources for satisfaction. One thing is just to reflect on all of your positive qualities. And, you know, I'm sure that we don't do that very often. This is a wonderful list of positive qualities that my sister, who teaches in the social work program at Sitting Bull College, teaches. You know, these are all the values that they tried to impart. These are traditional Lakota Plains values like respect and generosity and compassion and integrity. And what and this is the same thing that we do to increase our level of satisfaction as well. We can look at those qualities in us, you know. Actually, even just being at this training, you know, we're opening our heart and mind to be able to do better for ourselves and others. That's a very positive thing. That could be fortitude or wisdom or bravery, or knowing that we have work to do. That could be humility. And, you know, doing honest reflection is honesty. Next slide. This is also a very big practice. Actually, this is the main practice of mindfulness meditation. What mindfulness does is it let us see with more clarity, you know, what the intention behind any particular action of thought, speech, or mind is. And if it's a negative intention, you know, we want to stop it and not do it. But if it's a positive intention, you know, we definitely want to carry that out and be aware of what the intention is behind the work that we do. I'm very big into QR codes, as you can see here. This is my first one, I think. And if you take your camera and go to your camera on your phone and just shine it on that, you'll go to the website where you can download this excellent book, how to the paramis, you know, how to strengthen positive mental qualities in yourself. And it's free and it's an excellent book. So you can do that. And, you know, just reflect right now that your service as a board member is doing this. It really is providing positive qualities, not only to the organization, but to the community that the organization is serving. And it's a good for you to see that as a sense of satisfaction and worthiness of yourself. Yes, next. And the negativity bias. That's why we want to look around and see all the positive things that you are doing. Because, you know, in evolutionary psychology, we're always looking for the thing that is going to hurt us. We're always looking more for sticks than we are for carrots. So it's really important to take some time every day to just think about all of the positive things that you are doing and get a sense of satisfaction and self-worth out of that. You know, I mean, a lot of us don't see the incredible amount of service we're doing to the community, and it serves our purpose and it serves our community for us to make a regular practice of doing that. All of you Nikui peeps right now, you should be thanking yourselves, yay, I'm doing good work. Yeah. And get a feeling of worth from all of you, because that's, you know, you're doing incredibly important work. Okay, next. And now resources for connection, you know, this is our third big human need, is to connect with others and have community, okay? So as we know in our Indigenous communities, I just gave a presentation for the Native medical students, you know, all of these medical students, and you know, Dr. Don Warren presented right before me, and he talked about how important our traditional ceremonies are, and you know, us to provide those, you know, while they're giving traditional medicine practices too, to know what those are. And we're so lucky that many of us have access to things like sweat lodges and, you know, powwows, singing, vision quest hamblechas. You know, I was so lucky. I was, you know, invited to Sundance at Richard Moofskamp's place in Wanblee, South Dakota on the Pine Ridge Reservation for many, many years. So we know that these things are available. And there is meditations and sitting groups, meditation groups that are also available for you as well. Next, please. And, you know, as board members and as Nikui employees, you're doing excellent work. You're connecting with a very broad community who are giving services and caring for and loving one of the most historically marginalized groups in the country. So You should all feel really excellent about all of you board members, about what you're offering, and all of you Nikui people, you should feel very good about what you're offering, you know, to the larger Native Indigenous community. Yes. And then here's another way is to, forgiveness is a way to increase our feelings of connection. So forgive ourselves for anything we've done in the past, and forgive those who might have hurt us in the past. We don't necessarily need to revive the relationship if the people are not very wholesome and they're not very ethical. But it really, you know, lets us have a lot more peace of mind when we do forgive those people, including settlers. You know, we need to forgive settler colonialists because they're our relatives too. They're getting played by, you know, advanced laissez-faire capitalism to think that, you know, certain things will bring them happiness, which will not bring them happiness. But anyway, this is another way to increase our connection. Okay, next. So how can we do that? We can do that by, so I would say that board service, like life, every part of life is a ceremony, right? I mean, we are supposed to be bringing to mind our highest aspirations for connectedness and for service and for satisfaction and safety. And we can do that by maybe including some mindfulness or some daily ritual into our practice. You know, sun dances and sweat lodges maybe are once a year, at most once a month or a few times a month. This is a ceremony that's connected to what the purpose of our, you know, most popular ceremonies are, that we can do every single day of our life. And mindfulness can be a small little ceremony that we do just with ourselves or with our children or our housemates, to just take 15, 20 minutes a day to do this little ceremony and to bring out the positive. So conscious board service is ceremony, and our lives are ceremony. Okay, next. So luckily, there's a huge amount of free resources available for mindfulness meditation and for, you know, sitting groups that are in your area to learn how to do mindfulness, a lot of free resources. And if you put right to that QR code, you will go to a place where you can download free resources. Okay, next. So I just wanted to acknowledge that we have two knowledge systems. We have our right linear brain that counts things and names things. You know, it's what a lot of Western knowledge construction is based on, but we have a lot of Indigenous knowledge that is like that too. We definitely also have a linear knowledge system. But then all of us also have an intuitive wisdom knowledge system. You know, the guy who invented mindfulness, he said, don't believe anything I'm telling you about what it does. You have to see this for yourself. And that is the intuitive knowledge system. You know, every time we meditate, you know, mindfulness meditation is collecting data for that intuitive wisdom knowledge system. And when enough data has been collected about insights into the nature of the world, we have a big insight about how the world works, and that really frees us from suffering. One of the biggest insights that we can have is that, hey, guess what? We really are all related, you know? So it, you know, it really supports a lot of Indigenous knowledge systems that, well, we see very clearly through wisdom that we are all related. Okay, next. So, you know, the origins of mindfulness meditation, it is an epistemology of the global South. And, you know, I was just talking to a bunch of Native medical students, and all of, you know, all of the Indigenous physicians and administrators who were presenting talked about, you know, what wonderful knowledge Indigenous cultures have. So we're considered an epistemology of the global South, even though we're in the global North, because we've been marginalized by some of these systems for, you know, hundreds of years. And Buddhism or Buddhist psychology is also global South knowledge. Okay. And, you know, is it worth anything? So look at this. This article came out about 2 months ago. And we know that Nature has a series of academic scientific journals that are some of the highest, most cited scientific journals in higher education. And here was one that was published by Nature's Journal on Human Behavior. They did a meta-analysis. This was looking at, collecting data from a lot of different interventions to look at what was the most useful for mental well-being and for psychological strength and psychological well-being. And guess what it was? Mindfulness. So this is a 2,600-year-old intervention from the global south that has been totally taken up by Western mental health practices. Some of them appropriately, some of them not so appropriately. So we want to go to the source maybe to get to learn how to do this practice. Okay, next. So mindfulness is, what it does is it gives us some objectivity to our thoughts and to our emotions. When we develop mindfulness, we have a mindfulness frame around everything that we think about and everything, all of the emotions that arise and pass away. And as we know, I mean, I don't know if you realize that 50% of what you think is total nonsense. It's either us getting down on ourselves or getting down on somebody else or valuing. Right now, I'm noticing how much I pass by houses and think, wow, I would be happy if I lived in that mansion. And then I look at that and I realize, boy, that is not going to make me happy, because I'd probably have to live around a bunch of other rich people who probably would not make me happy. But anyway, to see what it is that we think is the source of our well-being, and then watch to see, once we get that, how much well-being we actually get out of that. It's probably good to do when we're shopping for Christmas and things like that. Okay, so I only have 5 minutes remaining. Okay, so doing regular meditation, it cultivates 3 core skills: concentration, clarity, and equanimity. Excellent qualities for us to have that increases our well-being, okay? The RAIN formula. This is one thing we can remember to do in mindfulness. If we're struggling, we can say, what's happening right now? Why am I struggling? And then accept it. You're feeling angry, you're feeling deprived, you're feeling, someone is racist and sexist and homophobic toward you. That happens all the time. And then investigate it. How does this feel emotionally, energetically? What thoughts is it giving rise to? What does it make me want to do? And then a really important part of this is to realize this isn't personal. There are 20 million other people on the planet that feel this exact thing right now. And you realize that we are all related. Nothing that we have can be outside of what normal human experience is. And we realize that it's not personal. Okay. So do we have time to actually practice right now? How much time do we have?
We have plenty of time, Bonnie.
Really? Okay. Okay, so we are going to do a guided meditation right now. Is the next slide the 4 elements meditation?
Yes, I believe it.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so why don't we go to the next slide? And when you look at these, you can download these meditations are done by this German monk. His name is the Venerable Análio, and he is thought to be, the best scholar right now on what real mindfulness is. So I'm gonna end. When he taught his son, the guy who invented mindfulness, Shakyamuni Buddha, when he invented this, the first meditation he taught his son was how to scan the body for the 4 elements. And, many of us know any native ceremony you go to, most of them revolve around the 4 elements, right? I mean, the sun dance, the sweat lodge, the 4 elements are an integral part to our ceremonial experience. So this totally fits in with that and could be considered a very deep daily indigenous practice that we can do. So let's start with the whole body awareness. And if you can, it's good not to rest your back against the chair, because posture has a lot of contributions to alertness. So let's just get into a whole body awareness, and we're going to scan the body for the 4 elements. And So let's start first in the whole body awareness from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet, just feeling the body. And we know the earth element is hardness, like the bones and the teeth, and density. And sometimes we can feel that distinctly when we scan the body. We don't need to feel it distinctly. If we do, that's great. But whatever sensations the body is offering you, that's wonderful to anchor your attention on those sensations. So let's start with the head. We know that our skull and all of our bones are earth element, just feeling the face and the back of the head and the sides and the top. Earth element, going down to the neck, which is where our spine is starting. Can we just feel the hardness of our spine from the bottom of our head down to our pelvic area? Can we feel that hardness? Whatever sensation is being offered there as we scan is fine. Earth element, moving to our shoulders, lots of bones here. And to our upper arms. And to our bony elbows. And to our lower arms and our hands, if we have them. If not, that's fine too. Just holding our shoulders and arms and hands in awareness. Earth element, moving to our upper torso. Here we have our rib cage. Can we feel the earth element in our upper torso? Whatever sensations we feel are fine. Earth element, moving to our lower torso. Earth element, to our pelvic area, lots of bones here. The hardness against the chair could be density and earth element. To our upper legs, our thighs, and our bony knees, and our calves, and our bony feet. Earth element. Coming back into a whole body awareness. Earth element internally, earth element externally, all the same. Now, water element. Water is flowing and cohesion. We know that any liquid in the body is considered water elements, or our blood and our phlegm and our mucus. All of that is part of water element. Let's look at our beloved feet. Just feeling the sensations of the feet. Knowing with all those bones, there's probably a lot of mucus and stretchy stuff. Water element. Moving up to our lower legs, to our calves. We know there's blood circulating all through there. Water element. To our thighs, our upper legs. Water element. Moving to our pelvic area. We have bags of liquid in here, and sometimes, many times during the day, it tells us, hey, you've got liquid up here. Just feeling that right now in the pelvic area. Water element. Moving to our lower torso. Lots of mucus and slimy stuff in these bellies. All of the organs in there. Thank you, organs. Water element. And to our upper torso. Water element. And to our shoulders. And our upper and lower arms and our hands. What sensations are offered? Can we feel the blood flowing? Whatever sensations offered are fine. Water element. Moving up to our head. We know there is water element in our mouths, our eyes swimming in liquid, and our brains. Just feeling our heads, scanning different parts of it. Water element, coming into a whole body awareness. Thank you, body. Water element internally, water element externally, all the same. And now fire element. Fire element is temperature. So we can feel warmth as we scan the body, or any temperature. Maybe you're sitting in a breeze for coolness, but let's start with our heads. Can we feel any warmth or temperature on our face, near our ears and the back of our head and top? Fire element, moving to our necks and to our shoulders. Fire element, to our upper arms and our lower arms and our hands. Can we feel the warmth or any temperature? Fire element, coming into our upper torso. Our hearts here are a big element of warmth. It is what is keeping everything moving. So the heart is a very big part of our warmth. Fire element, moving to our lower torso. Here we have a lot of temperature helping with the digestion, with the earth element and the water element. All of those beloved organs and intestines doing all of that work. You can feel the heat of it, the warmth. Fire element, moving to our pelvic area and to our upper legs, our thighs. To our knees and to our lower legs, to our calves. Fire element, and to our feet. Warmth. Coming back into a whole body awareness. Thank you, body. Fire element internally, fire element externally, all the same. And now the final element, which is the air element or the breath element. When you think about it, we are getting breath fed every moment by Mother Earth. Mother Earth is breastfeeding us. Let it start. And we know that all of our cells are carrying oxygen. So there's breath and air, even where we don't know it. Let's start with our feet. Picturing of air in our feet. Moving up to our lower legs, to our calves. And our knees and our upper legs. Feeling the sensations of the legs. Air element. Moving to the pelvic area. We also have a place in here where we store air. Sometimes we have to let it go and people around us don't like it too much, but you know, we have bags of air in our pelvic area. Air element. Moving to our lower torso. This is a wonderful place to connect to the air element. We can feel the pushing and moving of our belly as we breathe in and out. And when we are confused or want to bring some peace to ourselves, this is where we can anchor right here. Just feeling every single in-breath and out-breath is different. You know, just to rest within that. Moving up to our upper torso, we can feel the expansion and letting go of the air in our lungs, expanding and contracting. What does that feel like? Getting breath fed by our mother, the earth. Moving on to our shoulders and to our upper arms and lower arms and hands. Holding our arms and hands in awareness. Air element. Moving to our necks. Lots of place here for air to come and go. Up to our heads. A good place for air element is at the nose. Just feeling the in-breath, the pause, and the out-breath and the pause. Air element. Coming back into a whole body awareness. Air element internally, air element externally, all the same. So let's just rest in this peacefulness for a while. We can anchor our attention at the belly and just rest in spacious awareness. Now we have a little concentration. So see what thoughts want to arise or what emotions want to arise, and hold our mindfulness frame around it. So that was number 2. If you go to that set of recordings, that guided meditation is number 2. The rest of them are all really excellent. You know, I would highly recommend that, you know, you don't have to read anything, just listen to one of those different every day. They can be very helpful. Next slide. So what are some ways that this meditation and Indigenous well-being is connected? So about 3 weeks ago, I taught, me and a few other native mindfulness teachers taught a Indigenous retreat, an American Indian retreat at Spirit Rock Meditation Center, which is in Marin County, the San Francisco Bay Area. And it was really wonderful. That guy in the middle with the red shirt on, that is Dean Hogland, who is an elder of the Coast Miwok people. And that's Coast Miwok land. You know, and it was the very first time Spirit Rock, which has been there for 25 years, ever had a Coast Miwok presence there. And they were so delighted. Standing next to Dean in the striped shirt, you might recognize Sharice Davids. She is our wonderful congresswoman from, she is Osage. She is the co-chair of the American Indian Congressional Caucus. She's also co-chair of the LGBTQ Congressional Caucus. And actually on the left there is Michelle Latvala. She's the executive director of Spirit Rock. And, she, you know, this was a very short retreat. It was only 4 days and she was totally blown away. It had a really deep impact on her. So she's very committed to making sure that we can have this every year. So, you know, one of the things that's very similar is that we get into this space where wisdom can arise and we can see, you know, our interconnectedness, we can see ourselves as nature, you know, all of these things that made us less than civilized during colonization is now considered like the latest in scientific understanding, right? Okay, next. And then another type of meditation we do is loving kindness meditation. It's kind of a mantra meditation where we just say over to ourselves, may I be safe and protected. May I be happy and peaceful and healthy. And actually, any of you who need to listen to some, maybe you're in a agitated or an uncomfortable mental state. This woman, Dr. Tara Brock, has hundreds of guided meditations and Dharma talks about how to hold some of these difficult emotions. And here is a link to her, many, many Dharma talks that you could look through and could very much be, some resource for you to settle down and just get a little bit of awareness of what's happening in this moment. Okay. Here's just more, me and my QR codes to learn how to do loving kindness meditation. There's actually 4, they call them divine abodes. It is loving kindness, compassion, joy, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. And, we can build those really wonderful and wholesome mental qualities by doing these meditations. They can be very, very helpful. And these are resources for you to learn how to do them for free. All this stuff is free. Don't pay for much of this stuff ever. Yeah. Okay, next one. And then here is one of my favorite, like I said, Buddhism is more like a psychology than a religion, because there's, they definitely believe in spirit guides, which we also do too. A lot of indigenous communities do as well, but there's no God. I mean, the Buddha was not a God at all. So, and here's a place where you can get a Reader's Digest version of Buddhist psychology and how to use mindfulness meditation and ethical conduct and wisdom in order to live our lives in the best possible way. Okay. Oh, and actually now, because of COVID, there's all of these really wonderful online sitting groups where you can learn how to meditate for free online. And some of these are actually recovery groups. So people who are in 12-step groups, they have 12-step meditation groups. There's hundreds of them on this website here. And I'm sure one of the QR codes takes you to that website. And then I'm teaching a retreat actually in Massachusetts in January in person. I think it'll be 4 full days and it's going to be wonderful. Actually taught by 3 women of color. So I invite all of you to look at it, apply for a scholarship if you can, and would love to see you there. Okay. And here are the phrases for those different types of divine abodes, or really wholesome mental qualities. The metta loving kindness phrases, and the compassion phrases, and the joy phrases, and the equanimity phrases. And then here are some forgiveness phrases as well. Okay, that's it for now. That is my presentation. So if we have any questions or comments or gentle criticisms are also welcome. Any questions, anyone?
Please feel free to unmute and express your questions, or you can also post them into the chat box and we will bring them to Bonnie's attention. Thank you so much, Bonnie. This was a great meditation. I feel 100% rejuvenated from just participating in this, and this is a great start to my Friday for sure. And I hope that everybody else agrees with my assessment.
Wow, well then you should definitely download those 7 guided meditations. Do them with your kids or your partner or whoever. They can be very, very wholesome.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for posting in the chat as well these resources. We always appreciate everything that you provide for us that are definitely for free. So
yeah, we all love free stuff, right? The free stuff is the best. Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. I was curious, and we'll keep our eye out for other questions in the chat. But your title of describing retreat as ceremony, I'm curious about how that might apply to a way in which we would maybe make a opening or a closing ritual out of what we do with meditation, or how that might apply for gatherings of the board, for example.
Well, I think that, you know, we set an intention for every single action that we have, but a lot of times, I would say 80% of the time, it's totally unconscious. And, you know, we set these unconscious intentions based on what strong qualities we have in our heart, you know, whether it's meanness or love and kindness. So I think one way to make life more ceremonial is just to be very conscious about it. Like, you know, what is my intention of doing this talk for you all? You know, I had a very positive, you know, positive sense that I wanted to do it because you all are doing such incredibly important work with, you know, my community. So I just wanted to offer something that could be useful to all of you. And then, and, you know, when we finish, in fact, they asked me to say the closing prayer out that, you know, the talk I gave from earlier this morning. And I just said that all of us don't even realize how wholesome the behavior that we're doing right now is. It's very meritorious. It creates a lot of good karma, if you believe that. You know, all of the work that we do is very, it's, you know, excellent karma. And what we can do is gather that karma together and share it with our fellow humans. Say, you know, any merit that I have generated by being a part of this board meeting, or any positive energy I have generated by putting together this training and by meeting with all of you today, I want to share this with all of, you know, those who are suffering out there, maybe with someone, you know, personally who's suffering, or you know, just more generally for the community and for all of our relatives who are suffering. May this meritorious action promote their well-being and their happiness. Yeah.
Thank you. That's a wonderful sentiment. The notion that just by simply our positive intention and sharing that in a group setting, like a group, like a board that you might be a member of, or within any group, that there's something that can emerge from that positive intention that's announced and intentional and shared. That's a wonderful sentiment. Thank you for sharing that with us, Bonnie.
Definitely. Thank you so much. I just go through this presentation, and I feel like every time I look at it, I always learn something new from it as well. And, you know, just like, you know, connecting it back, like it just always brings me back to that same point. Like, the world is so small. There's so many connections between, you know, all these different cultures and all these different practices, and just like bringing them into our daily lives. Like, you know, as you just said, like, you know, with just a daily meditation, like we could all become more mindful and just better humans.
Yes.
So I definitely agree with that. And I always start my day off with a meditation of some sort, and, you know, just taking this into practice, especially like the 4 elements meditation that you just walked through. I think it's essential for us to start doing.
Well, it sounds to me like you need to join us in January. You all should join us. I would so love to see you all there. That would be so cool.
I have my supervisor on the line, so.
I'm pretty sure Sharice Davids is going to come, and actually,
Okay.
yeah, Sharice Davids usually comes to most of my retreats, and we'll get, you know, she shares a house, right? You know who she shares a house with, right? She shares a house with the Secretary of the Interior.
Okay.
So we'll have to try.
Powerful group.
I know, we'll try to get her there as well. Yes. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. That's wonderful. Thanks so much for sharing. We're right at 2:51. Divya, I don't know that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we do have about 9 minutes left in this session. So, you know, we do welcome any more questions. You know, for Bonnie, Bonnie always gives us great resources and just great, you know, advice and information as well, just going through. So, you know, if anything is burning, or you have any questions about the presentation, or just even going through like a daily meditation, and how to implement that into your your ideas as a board. Thank you, Bonnie. More wonderful resources for us to access. And all of these will definitely be available to you all as we close out of the board of directors sessions as well. So all of these will be definitely shared with you if you do not get a chance to access them in the chat. So.
Well, I mean, I think one question for us all is, how do we integrate our spiritual life with our everyday life? I mean, it is such, we all think of it as a very separate thing, but it's not separate at all, And, the call I was just on this morning was how physicians could, Native physicians could incorporate, their tribal spiritual practices into providing healthcare for people. So, we know that that's a huge part of our well-being, is to look beyond just, in this tradition, there's 3 root poisons: greed, hatred, and delusion. Thinking that this is going to make me happy if I just get this, or thinking that I'd be happy if I could just make this person do something bad or something, or just being deluded, not understanding how life works,
Right. Yeah, no, I think especially when we talk about not even just decolonizing, but just going back to our roots and bringing back those cultural practices, like you said, incorporating them into our everyday lives and not thinking of them as separate.
Right.
I think that's truly important, especially in the day and age that we are in right now. And
yeah, and with some of our most sacred ceremonies, I mean, Sundance is only one day, one time a year.
Yeah.
So I mean, how do we make every day, that intentional, and that and it supports our well-being, and we have more to offer others, and we do that too. Yeah.
Exactly.
There's something about sharing that in a everyday practical sense that is really worth reminding people of. I've heard it said that you can't ever get so heavenly focused that you're of no earthly use. and there's nothing more practical than a good spiritual lesson.
Yeah, that's very true. Excellently put. Yeah. Any other comments or questions? I like the puppy, Crystal. I got a COVID puppy. I got a COVID dog. Boy, she is so spoiled. She's a rescue from Mexico.
Wow.
Nothing else, anyone? You're all invited to come meditate with us in January. Would love to see you all. You will love it. One thing that retreats also do is it lets us to let go of trauma, historical trauma. And I always tell people, for the first few retreats, you might have a day of sobbing meditation and a day of stomping meditation, where when you're scanning your body, that's where trauma gets stuck in the body. And, when you're able to feel it, you can actually release it. A lot of times you won't even you're angry or why you're crying, but it does allow us to purify that. And that actually lets us to see more clearly, because having all of that stuff in us, it really impacts the way that we see the world. And I just put an excellent overview of how discrimination gets trapped in the body in the chat.
Thank you so much from Tommy
Yeah.
Lee Woon. Absolutely.
Yeah. And is that Siobhan that wants to know what the dates are? It is January 28th to February 2nd. It's right up here. It says, join us for Befriending the World Through Mindfulness Insight Meditation Retreat. Yeah. You can go onto that website and see it. It's kind of expensive, but apply for the scholarships for sure. Yeah. Well, wonderful to hang out with you all a bit. Thank you so much for the service that you do. All you Nikui peeps and all of you board members, I have a deep sense of gratitude for all that you're offering to our beloved communities. Thank you so much for doing that. And it's excellent karma for you. Keep doing it. It's good karma.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. We always appreciate your just presence here within our talk.
I think did you, Divya, did your audio?
Are you able to hear me now?
I'm sorry,
Okay.
it sounded a little muffled. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, we're sorry about that. Sometimes I forget and I just get excited. Yeah, no, we really appreciate you taking us through this journey of like mindfulness and meditation. And I would welcome everyone to join us and using the celebration emoji just to thank Bonnie. Like, you know, this is
What is the celebration emoji?
just yeah,
That one?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yay, I love it. Awesome. Thank you, everyone.